When applying a lip stain, you're going to need two things. The first thing that you're going to need is a lip primer. The second thing you're going to need is a concealer. And third, obviously, the lip stain. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to apply the lip primer, just like chapstick, all over the lip. And you can even go a little bit over the lip line. And just rub it in. The next thing that you're going to do is you're just going to take the lip stain. Now, key, when you're applying a lip stain, you want to wipe off the excess off of the brush, because once it's on there, it's on there. And while you can clean it up using like a Q-tip and makeup remover, it's still a good powerful lip liner is still going to leave a little bit of residue, and then you're going to have to go in there with concealer and kind of clean it up even more, and it's just a lot harder for you to have to go back and backtrack than to start with a lot less and just build it up. And now some people, when they apply their lip stain, think that they should use a lip liner. However, what I like to do is use a lip primer, which is called like a clear liner, and outline it first and then use the lip liner, because what happens when you use a lip liner and a lip stain is it can get really built up, right? Because naturally lip stains are made to be a lot more, they're matte and they're dry. And so when you put like a lip liner underneath of it, it can go on top of that and just get cakey because it's dry, it's matte, so it's gonna show more. So the first thing you're gonna do is start at the Cupid's bow, and you're just going to make a V. And as you see, I'm going very slow and I'm being very careful when I'm applying it. And if you also notice, your brushes typically are angled out. You should be, the brush goes this way, you should be holding it so that it's going outwards, like the brush is pointing outwards. It's literally designed to help you. And if your brush isn't naturally tilted, you can just take the tip of your brush and kind of point it backwards, and that way it'll be easier to apply your lip, because as I put it down here, it fits so much better than if I was doing it this way and it wasn't that way. So after the V, I'm just going to start, and I'm going to take this where it ends, and I'm going to go downward. And when I am applying a lip stain, I kind of like to think of it in zones, and that really helps you keep it neat. So we're going to do our next little zone. And I'm using tension on this too. When I'm applying it, I'm kind of pushing down and pulling it in one. You're not going to lightly, you're going to do one smooth move, and we'll do the other one. So it's kind of like a V and then an avalanche, like two little mountains. So we'll come to this side and we're going to bring it down. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start on the outer corner and we're going to draw it up, and we're going to connect it that way. And do you see how I'm kind of allowing the brush to stay steady and I'm moving my lip with it? That's really going to help you, again, to stay nice and clean, because you're not using a liner. Typically, the liner would be what helps you stay clean. Same thing, we'll start on the outer corner and we're going to draw up to connect the line. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our line in the bottom, and that's just going to be our guideline. And as you can see, the brush is pretty dry. It's not like I have a ton of product on here. This is just my first coat, and it's like my guideline and my layer. And the reason, again, that you don't want to use a lip liner to do this is because that can get cakey and build up. And this is just going to give you a nice, even finish that's long-lasting. So after we make that first line, we're going to do the same thing we did on the top. We're going to draw from here out, and then we'll go on the corners and bring it down. And again, you're going to use tension when doing this, and you're going to kind of use your lip to move. Another thing you can do is kind of put your tongue underneath your lip, and that kind of gives you something to press against that's sturdy without having to go like this. I feel like when you go like this, sometimes your line can get a little bit more crooked, so this just helps that. So now we're going to start in the corner and bring it down to the line and connect it. And again, you want to make sure you're really getting in that corner because that's going to create the perfect voluptuous pout. So now we're just going to fill this in right in here. And you want to also fill in the top. You see right in here, when I talk, if I don't fill that in, you can visually see it. I see that mistake a lot. So you're just going to want to make sure that you fill that in as well. Okay, so now that my first layer is all on, oops, I got a little oopsie. That's why I shouldn't talk and teach. I'm just going to push this down. In the moment that happens, you can use a Q-tip and clean it, but I actually like to use my fingers because you have the body heat. Like, your body heat is one of the best things you can use to move makeup on your face because the heat of your fingers and the oils on there almost work better than a Q-tip would. So now we're going to go in there and we're just going to fix that area, but remember we're going to wipe our brush. I'm not going to talk this time. All right, let's fix that. And then with a little bit more on our brush, we're going to dip it in again, and we're just going to deepen the color now. Once you get your first coat on, you can fill it in to be as deep and vibrant as you want. I like to just do a little bit extra in the center just to really darken it. But yeah. Another really important thing to do is to let it dry. So because I was talking, there was time in between where I was kind of drying. If I was doing it to myself and I wasn't talking, I would be sure that I allowed, after the first coat, I made sure it was dry. I gave it a few seconds. I maybe did my mascara, my brows, or something like that. And then I went back in and put the second layer. That's super important when applying a lip stain. If not, again, it'll get cakey. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to sharpen this up around the corners with concealer. It's good if you have one that has a brush on it or a wand. And all you're going to do is literally outline from here in the corners. Same thing there. And then you could even do a little bit under here if you want, but I like to just do the corners. So we're just going to do that. Same thing here. And again, this is like there's nothing really on this brush. I squeezed it up and then I cleaned it off. So you want to have product on there, but you don't want an excessive amount of concealer on the brush because you're really just putting a slight bit to just clean it up and make it look nice and crisp. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to tighten our lips and we're just going to blend the concealer in. You want to do this with your hands again because the warmth of your like natural body heat and then the oils are really going to help it blend in naturally. And that, my friends, is it. That's how you apply a lip stain. If you have any questions, be sure to comment below. Bye.